Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone comes super excited with handmade TPC, ready to present, right?
That one.
Maybe I would ask everyone like you today, we go to the breaking rooms to make it easier for us. I ask you to take the button on the right side, click on the right side on your name and say rename. And if you do rename, you can, of course, have the first name and the second. I have seen. I ask for kindness to put the name of the institution. I have no problem. In the end, when you leave, he comes back. The usual AA call normally, what's it like? So my only problem is that we have to buy time and I'm gonna need to see the institutions. If not, I always have to go to the list. And it's a longer process for us to move on to the breaking grounds, please, right, Dr. Estavio?
Good morning, everybody. How many Ks do we have? So, while the other colleagues are coming in, I just want to remind you a little bit of the rules. I don't know if you remember the rules of the rules, the training. Put the microphone on mute whenever they want to talk. Raise their hand. If they are following, always put there the emojis, the night, others when they are absent, if they write absent or put a cup of coffee, EE. We always leave the others. There are no wrong opinions, do not forget, all opinions are right, so contribute to the maximum. I would just like to ask one colleague, while other colleagues are coming in, to quickly give a brief summary in 1 minute of what you learned yesterday and what you can expect in today's sitting. Good morning.
Alfredo, yes, I want to make one. I will try to make a very brief summary. Yes. Say that yesterday our theme was business model focused on export, and that was a useful tool to promote export, right? And that's it. We talked about what exactly, and for space to export products. What is it? First, we talk about internal analysis. We have to do an internal analysis in our company, our capabilities that our company has to be able to export. We have to do the analysis, research, and definition of the target market. Then we determine the business model and design the business plan for export. We identify the sales channels, comply with the requirements, promote the product, and look at the issue of paying the tax rates involved. These all goes complement our business model. But requiring each market to have its own business model is not a model, as it is called. It is not a static thing. It is not a static model. And we have that, what is a business model? We have that is a logic, like a company or organization via added value to the product or service. And these business models have an advantage as they help mitigate risks and can also come in from investments as well as fit the recent market trends through the business model. And we made a difference between the business model verse and the business plan. We say that the business model was a mechanism by which the company generates its profit, while the business plan. It is a document that presents the company's strategy and its operationalization and financial performance, expected expectations for the coming years. This is the difference between the business plan and the business model. and a hint, and it was left if it is that each product has a different business model for a given market. That is, it is not homogeneous. Then we talked about the types of business model, where we approached OB to B, which was business to business and for decorative purposes. Then we talked about B to C, which was the company sells to the end consumer, and where in this B to C, during the pandemic phase, more products from online platforms were characterized where the company sold treatment to the end consumer. Then in the end, we say Bobochi is the company for the company, and finally the product goes to the end consumer. Then we talked about the COVAS business model, which is a strategic management tool that allows business development according to Alexandra Austin Ward. It was created in 2004 and from 2004 to 2010. This COVAS business model helps to organize our business idea, visualize the key elements of our own business.
Please, Dr. Frente, continue.
Which is used for, and it considers the social, cultural, political dynamics, etc. And the business model fits if it obeys 9 stages, in which we have key activity, the launch value proposition with customers, receipt of customers, revenue points, channels, resources, keys, cost structures. Finally, key partners. And then we talk about the customer segment. It is to know our customer, who our customers are, for whom the company intends to create value. This is the moment. It is the very key element so that we can plan our business control. Because without knowing our customer, we can correct ourselves to create a product to our liking, and that can cause failure in sales. And that is, even the company may not sell, but if we know our customer, we will according to their needs and desires, and our company will become profitable. It is talking about the mass market segment, example of Vodacom. A company that is a product does not have a specific one. Anyone can use this product. So this is called the mass market. There is no segmentation, a niche or so, etc. Then we talk about niche market in this market, where we already have a specific market that is a certain type of market value. For example, moringa, which can be a specific market for people with health problems and etc. And we also talk about the value proposition that is creating value. We also have to have some questions to ask. For example, what is the customer's need? What can fill or was about to fill? Or what is the problem we're trying to solve? And what's my difference? That is, what I bring is good for our client. These are issues that we have to take into account when looking at the reflection of the value proposition and what I add. Value is the key. Solving the customer's problem is such aggregate.
Valor, Alfredo, regarding this aspect, how are you discussing SE to EU? I'd like to know in your group what the challenge was in doing the exercise for that part. Estefania, please take the microphone from the kid. They succeeded in the exercise and can discuss while Alfredo rejoins us. Now, we'll hear a female voice, which is good.
I can hear you. Yes. We were able to do the exercise challenge. Yes, we found it, even though it was the same product of the other exercise. to tell the truth in the information with regard to the person and who is not to talk a little about what is that the country is not with which he has exported the product and the reasons for which. They also stick to the products. Despite some difficulties, I believe our work was successful. The rest will be seen in the presentation.
Here, on the issue of the proposal of the value proposition, was that we actually achieve, I think that we incarnate in the customer who is the merchant, and we can have the real dimension of what your fear motivators could be, your gain motivators of value gain. Actually, we try to put it there, and we'll see.
Thank you, Darius. Yeah, that's why it's the first thing we do. When we define a business model, we know the customer, we identify the product, we realize what are the channels. It's more simplified. But we understand exactly who our customer is and what value we're bringing to that customer. It's one of the most complex things there is. It has to be done. Obviously, if they only had one day, this needs to be studied more deeply. You need to have more time. When we are with companies, we have a strategic session, let's say, and companies have to understand exactly where they want to get to. Thank you very much, Dario. Estefania, Alfredo hasn't returned yet. Whoever listened to Alfredo, practically Alfredo reported everything I said yesterday. Just like I said, I was quite surprised. I have a very good memory. Congratulations, Alfredo. Look, Alfredo is congratulations. If I were here, if we were in person, everyone present is Shovel. Alfredo got a present today. We are doing it online. It is difficult for us to pass a gift to Alfredo. Someone from another GAP institution and APX, from the Zambe Speech Agency, who did the exercise and had a different challenge than those who have already been mentioned here.
Good morning, this is Claudia from PX. Good morning.
Claudia, yes.
We, in addition to the aspects that members have mentioned, we also had some difficulties in the psychographic aspects, yes, because it was not easy for us to identify. These have already been asked of us here, for example, when it comes to hobbies, at home, in fashion itself, in terms of opinions. The social religious politics took us a little bit, let's say, try to guess, let's say, why we don't have such a solid foundation to be able to have that information. This is about our clients, right? The final consumer.
Thank you, Claudio. Often when we want to do an analysis on a certain niche market, obviously, as I said, time is very scarce. But what do? We can launch surveys, okay, to figure out what is that, what is the behavior of that particular market. There are many institutions that already do these studies, so we have to look for these studies, okay? Obviously, as I said, the time is very short, but it is a script for you in the future to be able to do. If we, for example, are today with COM, with AA technology, we can even launch online surveys, okay? Instead of people being AA, fill out the paper today, makes online forms through Google. Can you? If we want to create a market, we can get in touch with that market through a chamber of commerce, through this chamber of commerce abroad. We can then launch a form. This form will then feed us lots of information about the target group. Let's start today's session to elaborate the canvas. Our first step was to define what our customers are, to understand who our customers are. Then what we did was realize what is the added value that we provide to this target audience. One of the most important aspects of the canvas or the business model, whether it is any adapted or not, is that the components that are in the business model must talk to each other, must be interconnected. If they are not connected, what happens? The customer segment and value proposition are not. You're not going to talk about those two things. All the other aspects that we talk about, they have to somehow be interconnected, because we can have a product. If that product is not connected to the customer, how does the product get to the customer? We can have an added value to give to the customer, but if we don't communicate that added value to the customer, how will the customer perceive the added value of our product? In other words, everything in the end has to be connected. Let's talk about the other side, which is the costs and revenues, the partners. All of this must be connected. Okay, the second step that we are going to talk about now is, let's continue and let's talk about the channels, okay? So for us, interconnecting with the customer segment, for us to interconnect the customer segment and the value proposition, we have to use channels, okay? That is, we have to establish means by which the company delivers its value proposition to each customer segment, and this is done through the distribution channels. Okay, there are several types of channels, okay, but the most important ones are direct and indirect. Does anyone know the difference between direct and indirect channels, sales channels? Let's use Ogmojis. I saw that Dario put the coffee cup for him. He's not there, but the other colleagues. Have you heard of direct or indirect sales channels? Does anyone know what the difference is? We talked a little bit yesterday about business models. I don't know if they remember you. I think when
we're discussing direct channels, right? Consider a scenario where the company directly interacts with customers for sales, whereas with indirect channels, we have an intermediary. Intermediary in the middle that makes the connection with the customer. That's my idea. Thank you.
Exactly. Bernardo, thank you very much for your contribution. Remember if the first rule of this session is interactive, we have to talk, and I want to learn from you as much as possible. Okay, then we have to contribute. So there are several channels. It's exactly what Bernardo explained. There are direct sales channels, there are indirect sales channels, and that we use. A middleman. Does anyone remember the direct channel we talked about yesterday? A direct channel business model. One of the direct channels that we talk about is what we talk about B.
Tosi.
It's not where the company is in direct contact with the customer. It's not exactly direct.
B2C.
Do you remember? If you remember which company we talked about, use the direct channel and deal with one of the business models as an example. Yes. Yes, I remember, leave me there, I'll just check. Here we talk about Disney, we talk about the Razor, and we talk about Tesla. How many of these three do direct events channel exactly at Tesla? Is this an example of direct sales? Okay, indirect channels, are the others that use intermediaries. That's exactly it. Thank you very, very much, Eli. An aspect that we must take into account. The same company can have several products and can give several types of channels. It does not mean that the same company has to be fixed to the channel. Direct and do everything directly. It depends on the strategy of the company. For a certain market, it can use direct sales, but for another market, it can use indirect sales. Let's suppose that for me to have a product for the local market, I use direct sales, but for the international market, I use indirect sales, or vice versa. Okay? Doesn't mean we have to be 11. A specific type of channel, okay, or aesthetic. And attention, the channels also vary from time to time from the market dynamics. That's why we're important. It is very important to pay attention to the market. Some channels allow you to expand the organization and reduce the operating cost. Okay, direct channels. It has more profit margins, always more, higher, okay, but it also has high operating costs. Because Tesla, to create those 200 stores, they have to create 200 establishments or create 200 establishments. Start to have costs a little expensive, but those who want to expand their business and don't have financial capacity, like Tesla, they use distributors, they use partners, they use other mechanisms to expand their business. This reduces the cost of this company. For example, if I want to export, I have a partner, a distributor abroad. That means I don't have to have costs. To open an office abroad, to pay salaries abroad, and so on. In addition to the cost to effect, by using this strategy, I am also passing on the risk to a third party. Risk is also a cost. If we are in the entire value chain of a business, we have to assume the risk of each part of the value chain. But if we subcontract, or if we partner in each part of the value chain, it means that we are also transmitting a risk, that we are transferring forgiveness, the risk of that part of the value chain to a third party. Okay? There is no model, no ideal channel. As I said, it all depends on the market. What a company should do is analyze the market and find a balance, okay, between the different types of channels. Some examples I put here. Nowadays, there are, with the internet, technological development. Today, most sales are made via phone, email. We also have the franchise model. We have distributors that exist, personal sales, which is still the oldest conventional model that still exists. Okay, so how do we know? How do we determine which channel is best for us? First, we have to understand which channels our segment or our customer prefers. Okay, how do we establish contact with this client? How do we integrate our channels? Which ones work best? Which ones don't work better? We have to do a test, we have to do an analysis, and we also have to understand costs. There are channels that are expensive, so we have to understand the costs of these channels and how these channels integrate into the customer's day-to-day life. We can choose a channel, for example, from the Tesla channel. It's an elevated channel. It's expensive, but it's integrated into what is the segment of customers they want to reach. Okay? Any questions about the channels? Don't forget, Channels are how we connect the value proposition with the customer, okay? So to connect our value proposition with our customer, we have to know our customer. We have to know which market they are, which channel they use the most. There are markets or niche markets that use the virtual segment more. There are online sales that are more accustomed to online sales. There are markets that prefer direct sales, personal sales, for example. Our local Mozambican market is still very dependent on direct sales, personal sales, where most of the business is doing basically everything, despite there being an intermediary. But there's still there's not a lot of segmentation yet. They use indirect and indirect sales too, and direct at the same time. Any questions? Are we all together? I believe we are. Silence means that we are all together, or that we are all perceived. But no, I wouldn't want them to be silent. I always would. That's perfect. Me?
Not me, no.
I didn't understand the channels.
Live.
Could you explain how it works? Bernardo talked about indirect channels. Bernardo, I need to explain it to Octavio. Yes.
Yes, I was saying that the direct channels, we are considering a case where the seller sells directly to your customer, or the company sells directly to your customer. But we have another case where the company uses an intermediary to sell to its end customers. Knowing that, I think we have the DA case. 2GMA Hundry. That is to say, Hundry is the intermediary of the DA of 2GM to sell its products to the end consumers. So this would be a live channel. In that case, thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much. Bernard, it's Friday anyway. We came with an example of 2GM. They're getting ready for Friday.
I didn't use an example anymore as for...
Most people here are free of rules. Feel free to give any example. Make yourself comfortable. Does Octavio understand? It is important.
Sure, thanks a lot.
Octavio now. Octavio is for you. The question and example is Mozambique of a direct sale from a company that only makes direct sales. You know?
A company that sells directly, right?
Who doesn't use intermediaries leaves the chat challenge to other people as well, okay?
For example, 1.
Bakery produces and takes the customer.
Exactly. Oh, Cavell wrote to Toyota. Yes. If it's Toyota of Mozambique, specifically, yes. If we're talking about no imported cars, we're talking about Toyota with no fleets. Thank you. So after we figure out what the channels are, we have to figure out how we relate to our customers, how we connect our brand to our audience. And here we have to define strategies, both attraction, retention, and loyalty. Oko, relationship depends on the segmentation that was made of customers. That is, for each segment, there is also a different type of relationship. For example, I have a cost company, okay? And seeing the shoes of men, women, and children, and even old people, the relationship I establish with my target audience is different. Obviously, it differs if I sell to 4 types in 4 audiences. Segments with the female audience are different from the relationship I have with the male audience. If I have shoes for children, the relationship with the customer is completely different. If I also, in my store, I have shoes for seniors, is also different. I don't know if I make it clear. A company can have several market segments, and automatically the relationship is different. I sell moringa, I want to export moringa. Okay, should I export moringa? Moringa has market segments facing in. Anyone looking for moringa for fitness is not for the fitness part. There are those who are looking for health issues, and there are those who are looking for health issues. The cosmetic part, which is also used in a certain way, okay, so a product can have several purposes and automatically has several segments. Okay, so how do we build the relationship with our client? Okay, it's very important that we ensure customer satisfaction. We have to have a product with quality. We have to ensure the loyalty of this reliable customer. You have to have a product that is reliable. How do we ensure reliability? Through the times of certification, through the name of the product itself, the history, the historical name of the product itself. OKO, service involved. If we have a personalized service, if we have automated services, many times we can have a dedicated personal assistant. For example, I intend to export my product to the Netherlands. In my company, I have an employee who is only dedicated to that customer, does nothing else. He gives special attention to that particular customer, depending, of course, on demand. If that customer makes very targeted purchases on a regular basis, obviously I'm going to rent someone to that specific customer so that I can give specific attention to that customer, okay? So, what are the questions we should ask to connect our brand with our audience? What kind of relationship does each customer segment expect the company to establish? What are the relationship strategies that can be implemented to achieve or establish a relationship with the customer? Okay, well, what can my company do? And obviously, attention, all the actions we do to establish a relationship with the customer have costs. So we have to know what the costs are and whether our company then has conditions to mitigate these costs. These costs will be replicated later in revenue, of course. Okay, we're clear. Just 11, 11, 111, 111, 111. Comment to Rosario. Rosario depends on Vodacom. There are several markets, okay? For a certain product, yes, they are direct sales, but for other products, they are indirect channels. For example, for M-Pesa, Vodacom has M as agents. It ways that they then deal with the end consumer. Okay, if the user uses refills, the same also applies to the stores and dealers that Vodacom has, okay? But, for example, there is a Vodacom service, which is Vodacom service for businesses. That is handled directly by Vodacom K. I don't know if I helped clarify. This one was just here correcting the rosary, okay? So, after we relate to clients, what do? We have defined the product. We have already realized the added value, identified the channels, established the relationship. Does anyone know what comes next? Sonia today is with with the microphone. Hello, Sonia.
Can you hear me? Now we address the next area. I'm really fond of being away from my space to assist her in establishing connections, and ultimately just now.
We understood it, and
Currently she's not here.
all right, that's perfect, Darius. Do you know what comes next?
After that,
Oh,
When it comes to relationships, yes. After the fourth one, I believe it's distribution channels.
we talked about channels.
value proposition.
We have already talked about the value proposition. We have already talked about it first and identified the product. Then we made the value proposition, defined the channels, established the relationship with the customer. Loyalty is part of the customer. Comes the most important thing, the money. Okay, how much do we make? How do we win?
Sources of revenue.
Precisely, sources of revenue. Much appreciated, Dario. So sources of revenue. If, as we said yesterday, in the Canvas business model, the customer is the heart, revenues are the arteries. Okay, a heart without arteries. What exactly happens?
Let it work.
Exactly. A company that doesn't have sales or doesn't know how to establish sales, what happens? Mora, okay, the revenue streams proposal represents the money a company generates from each cash segment. Without revenues, companies don't survive. Okay, so for us to understand what those are, I apologize. For us to understand how we identify potential revenues, we first have to know how much our client is actually willing to pay, what is the minimum amount, and what is the maximum amount. Our market segment, we have already identified the customer. We have already realized what the value proposition is. We have already realized how we are going to make the relationship. Now, we have to find out how much he pays. How is this done through market analysis again? Okay, through OK searches, people do price searches for the same similar products in other markets. Okay, how much is the product? If we are going to put a finished product in Europe, we can come in and realize, for example, if we are going to put peanuts into chestnuts, we know how much chestnuts cost in Europe. And these data are also already available, the price of the final product. Okay, how much is the product purchased? Because there are prices, they are commodity tip prices, they are prices that are already defined, they are market prices that are already established. Okay, so it's important that we know how much our client is willing to pay. Okay, second, it's important that we know how they make the payment, how this market is used to paying. For example, if we are going to port a product, obviously the form of payment will be through bank transactions. It doesn't involve cash. No one will leave the Netherlands with a suitcase full of money, come to Mozambique to give you the money. Okay, so unlike Mozambique, if we are making sales to the local market, to Mozambique, which still has difficulties in making online payments, the way the local market makes payments is through cash, OK cash, or check or deposit not transfers, OK, or in PISA too. We also need to understand how the company, what are the A's? We have generations of revenue, don't we? We have sources of revenue. How do these sources of, if a company sells several products, how do these sources of revenue contribute to the company's total revenues? That's what we need to know. Many times we enter the business and the business sells several products. You, the owner of the business, do not even know how much these revenues are, how much each revenue contributes to total revenues. So we also need to understand how this is done. Okay, a company may have also had these sources of revenue. Okay, she can sell the product directly, she can charge AA, she can have a usage fee, she can have sales of Alfredo wants to contribute, or did she just put the microphone on? Okay. I don't know if you know, it's a company called Print for You. No, Print for You, have heard of Print for You, is a local company. Put an example of a local company. No, exactly is a company that is in the printing area. Okay, they sell rent. Copier machines do maintenance. So this company has several sources of revenue, from the sale of equipment to the rental of equipment to the maintenance of equipment to the supply of consumables. So it has several sources of revenue. An important aspect that we must take into account when we are exporting in terms of revenues. There are already prices for products that are set by the market. Okay, products, for example, such as bananas, sesame, peanuts, are already prices that are set by the market. Okay, we have to adapt to that price. We have to realize what are the costs that we should reduce or how we can achieve at this price. These are prices set by the market. You have to do a constant market analysis to understand the price fluctuation, okay? For example, gold and silver already have prices set by the market. I can't wake up tomorrow and say that I'm going to sell this gold at this price is fixed in the market. Okay, banana is already a fixed price on the market, yes. However, we have to constantly analyze how is the market behaving in relation to price. And nowadays, thanks to technology, there are already applications that do this monitoring for companies. Okay, this is very important in the issue of revenue generation. If we don't end up setting a price that is not aligned with the market, or we also set a price to set a price, we have to pay attention to the courses. But let's talk about the courses later, okay? Some issue we can move forward. Then we look at what are the main resources for a company. AA, materialize what you are, what your strategy is. She needs resources. Resources are what allows the company to deliver its value proposition to its customer and get its revenue. If it has no resources, how will it materialize? It will then not be able to materialize what is its strategy. It will not be able to manufacture its product. So we have to realize what are the features that allow the company to offer this value proposition. What resources do we need? To relate to our customers, what are the resources we need to make a profit? Okay? What are the equipment? What are the tools? What are the raw materials that we need? If we need property, one, an establishment. That is, what do we need? If we need a piece of land to do the production of moringa, if we need a processing unit, what is the equipment that we need within that processing unit? What is the capital that we need? Because capital, money, is a resource. Okay, creativity. What creativity do we need? This is also very important. It is not quantified, but idealization is very important. because it is creativity that brings the value proposition. In my opinion, these are the main assets of a company. That is, this company has no people. The company may not have all the equipment possible, but it does not have people. Who's going to do that? Unless everything is automated. Everything automated needs a person, okay? Here, we also have to understand what resources we need to enter the export market. So to understand what resources we need to enter the export market, we have to understand what this export market is. What are the requirements of this export market? Oh, if we are going to export raw moringa, OKO, what is it that we need to export this raw moringa? What is it that we need as resources to comply with what are the requirements of the export market? If we are going to export moringa already a final product, what equipment do we need to process this moringa? Barrows wants to contribute. I think Barrows was looking for 100. Okay, so what are the questions we ask? Okay. What equipment do we need? What resources do we need? How much money do we need? How many people do we need? Okay? If we want to have an organic certification, what are the resources that we must have to have that organic certification? It's not just about having certification. If we want to have ISO 22000 certification, which is food certification, we have to have resources for it. What resources are involved? Okay, we're clear, and these resources should always be interconnected. Note that people, money, are also part of these resources. If in the previous slide, now let's talk about the key activities. If in the previous slide, we are seeing what are the most important resources to give life to our business. Key activities include the actions that are essential for this business to function. We can have the product, we can have the segment, we can have the channels, we can have the proposal, we can have all the equipment, we can have a company with all the equipment possible. But if we don't have key activities, that business doesn't work. Okay. There are clear examples of companies with all the equipment. There are clear deals with companies with all functions, but which have no activities. Okay, no. Are you unable to perform essential tasks to execute your business objective? Okay, they don't know how to achieve the value proposition. They don't have tasks of how to reach their customer segment. Okay, they don't know how to sustain a customer relationship. Here we have to understand what are the main activities that we must carry out to export a product. Okay, we already realized yesterday, we have already done market analysis. Now we have to understand what are the main activities, what is our goal plan, which is the next work plan. Then we have the partners, the main partners. What partners do we need to grow our business? Partners are important to any business. Can we, through partners, optimize the business model? We can. Minimize risks we may acquire. Perhaps resources we don't have. There's an African saying about partnerships. Does anyone know? I really like that saying.
No matter who you associate with, it reflects on who you are.
That's one point, but there's also another journal. African.
Not if you wish to go alone. How is it going, really?
Yes, it's that same someone to a colleague today already gave the tip. Now I'm going to ask a colleague, someone, does anyone know this saying?
It's very beautiful. It's one of my favorites too.
By the way, a co-worker of mine, have you heard of Google Bernardo? No, not if.
A swift spin will manage on its own, but if you spin more, it will continue.
Follow the instructions precisely. Claudia, this is the official statement.
My favorite, okay?
If you're aiming to go alone and fast, go. Yet, if you seek to travel far, go together. Imagine that we want to export a product. Okay, we want to be in the whole value chain. A product is huge. Okay, we want to export a product, but thank you very much. We want to be part of every part of the value chain. What does that mean? That we have to have resources. So it is highly costly for a small and medium business. What do small and medium businesses do? Establishes partnerships to understand which partners can add value in each part of the value chain. If I am already in production and processing, I want to put my product on the European market, I will find a distributor or an agent who will help me take care of that part. Because I'm not in Europe either. I don't know Europe. I'm in Mozambique. I live in Nampula, there in Recall. For me to get to Europe, a problem. So what do? I find a partner who will help me do just that, make structural parts of the company internal. I can also find partners in the accounting part, in the human resources part, in the training part. I can partner with training institutions in which the quiet metal to residents for my company. Okay? But for us to form partnerships, make partnerships that everyone wants to make. Partnerships can lead us to a good port, but they can also bring us some inconveniences. So for us to identify partners, we first have to ask some questions. We have to figure out what partnerships are essential to our business, okay? We are setting up a business. Who are the main essential partners? What we're doing is partner mapping. We're mapping partners. Suppliers are also partners. Do I have a product? Okay, I need it for mine, for example, for my fertilizer farm. I have a fertilizer supplier. If I take that supplier as a partner, I establish an agreement with that partner, with that supplier, with whom I have credit, payment. This is already a partnership. It already brings added value to me. If I have a rival, I have my fertilizer supplier in Maputo. That supplier gives me credit and does the transportation and delivery of my fertilizer in Ribali. He's a strategic partner. He's an essential partner. He's becoming part of my value chain. He's reducing my costs. He's bringing me to add resources to my company. Okay, so we need to map, we need to prioritize. Okay. Which of these suppliers? What I just said is that they can bring crucial resources to our company. What is the type of partnership that we can bring us added value? And to do this, the big exercise we have to do is draw the value chain of our product and realize where we are and where others enter the party. How do you say, okay? So when we want to map, the first thing we do is the value chain. Where are we in the value chain? We manage to be in the whole value chain. No, okay, in this value chain, who are the existing partners? Who can bring us added value? Okay, any questions about public institutions? We do this exercise a lot, right? Someone from the Zambezi Valley Agency, any questions? No, that's perfect. So then us.
Sorry, Sandra, I have 11 questions. We talk about suppliers and competitors. Can they also be partners?
Yes. In certain cases, we can lead to competition as a strategic partner. Let's assume I have a banana shape, okay? In Namban, I produce bananas. My competitor also produces bananas. He is in Maxix, I am in Namban. I got a contract with Spark in Maputo. But the SPA says it does. I produce 1 TO, SPA says 1 T per month. The SPA says that the lady knows we want 2 T per month. What do? I'm going to meet my competitors. In that case, I turn competition into partnership, where I say, look, I have a potential customer. Will you provide banana for me? I'll sell it to him too. You'll have the market. It could be Renato.
Is that clear?
Then we look at the cost structure. The cost structure is the last component of the business model, but that doesn't mean it's the least important. Does anyone here know about the no in the session? Why is she at the end? Why is the cost structure at the end? I'll ask someone from GAP or FMDS. I haven't seen anyone from GAP or FMDS yet. Colleagues from GAP or Defender, we don't have that.
The gap has already spoken some.
Have you ever spoken?
But okay, it's very simple. Why do we leave costs for last? Because the cost part is a very sensitive part, where all those who have a venture must have 11. Attention, right? Which is to really know what they are.
The costs
related to your business, right? When we talk about costs, we're talking about direct costs, we're talking about indirect costs. There are costs, rights with materials, there are rights with labor costs. So all this is important, isn't it? Like I said, it's a sensitive part of the idea. What is it? Yeah. With reduced costs, our profits increase significantly, right? So consider this one and this one.
Yes, it's about expressing my gratitude. Thank you very, very much. I'll inquire later, as I've seen it here. The colleague from the agency also expressed thanks. Thank you, Isaac, Agnella, Paula, Paolo, and all the colleagues present here. Contribute. That's exactly what I read. It all has a price, Isaac wrote, and also the same thing. Everything has a cost. So why is it done in the end? Because we are first mapping activities, but then we have to realize what is the cost of these activities? What is the cost of this process? What is the cost of this product? What is the cost of these resources? What is the cost of the activities? Everything in the end has a cost. So that's what we do in the end. Okay. Everything we mentioned has a cost. No, there isn't. Every activity of a company has a cost. Everything in there. As much as we do. Many of the micro entrepreneurs linked to agricultural production make a big processing error. They often produce in your home, process in your home, agro-processing. They forget that in their house there are also costs, or they sue entrepreneurs, or they sue in the father's house, but they forget that in the father's house. The father also has costs. He has energy costs, he has water costs, he has gas costs. The oven is used to dry some product. Often we forget even the shipping cost. It's shovel. We forget we're going to make a delivery. We forget we have to pay the guy to make that delivery. So many of the companies, many of the micro companies in the sector, even small ones in the agro-processing sector, end up getting into big problems because they do not map these costs. Okay, so we, to understand the costs of a company, have to know what are the main costs of our business model in those activities that we design. What are the main costs? Okay, which of these features we've identified are the most expensive? Okay, what are the most expensive activities possible? If it is possible, we make some adjustment, realistic attention. Many times we want to make adjustments that are not realistic and the company gets into trouble. The product comes out without the desired quality. If we also reduce many costs, what's going on? The product is also weak in the end. So we also have to understand where we are reducing costs and what impact this will have on a company. Reducing any cost in a company has an impact. So we have to realize that reducing this cost will have an impact. So we have to figure out how this is done. Amancio Musicato, thank you very much for your contribution. Here we have, yes, direct costs, fixed costs. We need to understand what the variable costs are, okay? But the most important thing in the campus business model is to receive these 4 questions. What are the main costs of our model? What are the main resources? What are the most expensive activities? Okay, in a way too, because attention, after the campus model, what do? We will go to the business slam, and there in the business slam, we will still do more detailed, obviously. Okay, attention, don't forget, the canvas is a photograph. We will hardly be able to incorporate everything there. One part that I would like to emphasize is very important to point out that most companies, about 90% of companies, fail because they are not able to understand the costs required or the costs involved to add value, to do something, to add value to your customer. That is, to create a product with the proposition with added value. Most businesses fail because they don't know how to identify costs. And the big problem is, we set a cost in 2016, we use that cost until 2022. We don't keep up with market inflation. What happens is that the price is no longer there. So we have to look at what the costs are involved. We have to do a current analysis, always reevaluate. We have to compare production costs with other competitors, with other suppliers. And this is one of the only ways we can ensure business sustainability. If a business has costs, raising costs above price, if living that business is not sustainable, that business will die. And this is one of the big problems of our micro, small, and sometimes medium entrepreneurs are unable to manage the cost. Okay? Can't keep up. That's where we come in as providers. Okay service to give this support. Remember, cost is key to any business. If the business can't identify its costs, can't map its costs, it's bad. Many of the entrepreneurs make this mistake. Many of the micro entrepreneurs make this mistake. They don't incorporate costs. What's going on? Let's suppose I have a partner that I produce moringa. I like to use the example of moringa, and I buy it. I have a partner who buys all my moringa, okay? Only this partner gave me a resource. He, in addition to buying all the moringa, he transports all the moringa. I don't have shipping courses for that partner or for that specific client. Obviously, I have a specified price because my cost, shipping is reduced, but I have to assume the shipping cost to other customers because if I use the same price, it means I don't assume the cost. I'm doing the shipping without having the shipping cost, which means my cost is much more expensive and I end up defaulting on deficit. Want to contribute? We're clear. Any questions? So we have here an example before I go through the exercise. We have here a complete example of curry. Sorry for being in English. It's an example of a cocoa cooperative in Ecuador, okay? We have partners present and we prioritize the customer first. What actions do we take? What's our initial step? Do we begin with partners or customers? Agnella and Bernardo are here. Bernardo has the microphone.
Indeed, in my view, it is crucial to begin with the customers.
Agnella, it is imperative to start with the customers. Remember, in the Canvas business model, customers are central to the business. Our initial focus should always be on the customers, followed by the value proposition. Initially, he identified who the customers are, correct? Who are the customers that they don't have contracts with? Who are the clients they have contracts with? This means that it is a company that is already operating OKO, which is that these customers want as high demand the quality, constant quantity supply of the product supply and be constant in the supply of the product. They want certified products and they want a fixed price product. All right, once we address the customer query, what is our next step? Where do we proceed after dealing with customers? Octavius, please.
Yeah. After customers, let's go to revenue streams.
No, Octavio, let's go to the value proposition. Don't forget.
Yes, indeed, thereafter.
Identifying the value proposition is essential.
Yes, indeed.
But revenues are important. But then we go to the value proposition. What does our cocoa bring as a value proposition to this? Okay. There is this cooperative as a value proposition. I don't know if you've heard of fair trade certificates. Have you heard of fair trade certification? Have you heard of fair trade certification?
No, I am not.
Has anyone heard of organic certification? No, not either. Okay, no one at all.
Organic certification, yes, but this first one, no.
Before I explain fair trade organic certification, it is an added value that means that my product or my cocoa is 100% organic from its production to the end. What does Jorge Gonsalves mean? Yes, please, Jorge Gonsalves. I would like to hear Jorge. We haven't heard from George yet. Jorge can take the microphone away from the kid.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Everyone.
Yeah, like I was saying, now they are. Speaks organic, that's the added value. And to the market, for example, our peanut work. And it's very crucial, given that our market in England only accepts at this precise moment to have added value, as well as the price of the product also increases due to the work that is done to ensure that the product is organic. This is by inhibiting inorganic fertilizers, among others.
Exactly, George. Exactly. Thank you very much. George has the coffee cup. I thought you weren't with us, but I'm glad you're obliged. Exactly. We want to export to Europe. The European market is a market that is highly developing in terms of health, highly healthy products. It is one of the largest markets in terms of healthy products. Germany is considered the largest European market in what is demand for healthy products because of COVID. The trend in healthy products has doubled, tripled. So organic certification means that that product, what Jorge just said, does not have, it has fertilizers, it is from all processing, it is organic, it means that it is healthier and also has added value, it brings more recipes. The organic product is more expensive than the conventional product, okay? Pharaoh 3 certificate, that's what this cooperative does. This cooperative associates with local Femenians. It is not to improve his quality of life. He works with local producers. By working with local producers, they teach local producers, they train local products, they serve recipes to local producers and automatically get a certificate, which is also desired in certain market ministers. Okay, this is the value proposition. Then we give you the value proposition. What do? Leonardo Cuchero is with us. Leonardo's got the mic on the kid. Today, Marda, after the value proposition, we made faithful. And after the value proposition, where do we go? How do we link customer value propositions? our value proposition. How do we make that connection? Good morning, everybody. Well, I hope it's the channels. I don't know exactly. Leonardo. So we identify, here are our channels. In this case, this company, its main channels are international fairs, them and the national fairs. In our case, that we have the Facinica is the national fair. They privilege participation in these fairs. Our case was very recent. For example, in the European market, there are several international fairs. There are fairs such as Anuga, commercial fairs, fairs with organic products. Okay, so we can also look for information about these fairs that take place in the international market, and today, with technological development, we can already participate in these fairs virtually, which also reduces costs for our SMEs to be able to reduce costs, because transport costs are also sometimes unreasonable and our SMEs are able to participate. Okay, they also use the internet a lot, publishing via telephone, via the internet, and some clients make visits to their main offices after the canals. What do? We already have the clients. We already connect customers to our value proposition across channels. What do? Sonia is already with us. Hello, yes, this is Alfredo. There is Alfredo. My proposal is that after the channels generate the issue of customer relationships, exactly, Alfredo, how do we do it? You can only see my screen. Yes, I can see yes. What does affection think? How is this relationship made with customers? What does this company do to use the relationship with customers? Ensure satisfaction, bring a quality product, and they have a customarke, an intensive customer service. Sometimes there are companies that have a personalized and intensive customer service. They call all the time to make sure you're okay. Your product is that we want to defend the product. To whom? To whom? I think that all of us are always interested in increasing our knowledge, and we often make prescriptions on pages of education teachings, international masters, doctorates, others undergraduate, others want to do another undergraduate, or some other training course. When we do there, we subscribe our email from those pages of what happens every day. We receive and mails from that company, from that training institution. We will receive so many emails, and one day we will buy a course there. They also establish relationships through payment systems as it is. They improve, okay. Or the price too, which ensures that the customer is satisfied. So after that, remember what came with a girl's voice? Which artery is the heart? Can we go to the main resources? Emerald. Don't forget that the heart needs arteries. Remember when I talked about the arteries of the heart? To work, what does a company need? In addition to resources to function, what do you first need? Money, revenue. Okay, don't forget right to left, we can't go. Sorry, it's left to right. In this case, we don't. We can't go to activities without passing through here, okay? Stefania so raised her hand. Yes, sorry. I was going to say even sources of revenue. And after the sources of revenue, we here already know that these are our biggest sources of revenue. They have also received as a source of income, apart from selling the cocoa, the other source of income they have is that they receive large. What are they big? That's a lot of funds. We have many programs, such as ProMove, for example, which is a program that is promoting exports to the European Union, is supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. So they promote identified 7 companies from which they will support in what is the equipment. So are you going to give a fund to this company, or are you going to acquire equipment for this company? A certain background. This is also a source of revenue. To have these big ones is not easy. Companies also have to be properly organized. They go through an intense process. Is your hand up, or is it because you forgot? Okay, thank you. After the recipes, what do we do? What do we identify? Mrs. Esmeralda spoke a little while ago. Emerald main resources. Exactly, okay. What is the equipment? What is the infrastructure? What is the new? How do we need the new how? Remember what I said, there are resources that are not palpable. Okay, then we have activities. What activities do we have to do to get the cocoa out of the farm? If we are doing fair, we use our local sheep. We have to teach these local farmers how to produce organic products. because if local farmers don't get the information on organic production, what happens? They're going to use their A formula and they're going to contaminate the entire processing unit, the entire production unit, and this has a very high cost, the contamination of a form or a processing unit. It's highly expensive. So we have to train. We also have to do marketing to ensure the sales box. Okay? We have to manage this project. Who is a project? We have to manage our customers. Stephanie has her hand up. She wants to contribute. I think she's just like Esmeralda. Someone wants to contribute, and then what do we do? After we have already defined all this, what do we do? The Zambezi Valley Agency. Anyone in the Zambezi Valley office? Isaac, or Joseph? No one from the agency or having microphone issues? I'm going to ask a colleague to make some intervention. What do we do after this? What are the two activities we are missing? If we don't have anyone from the agency, it stays open. I guess next. Yes. Next, we'd have to come get the main partners. Exactly. And then we look at our cost structure. Exactly. At net, so we look at those who are the partners who go to help in production, those who are the partners who go to help in our infrastructure, those who are the partners who go to help in the organizational structure, those who are the partners who they will help you in marketing, and those are the ones you will help in the financial part, in production. If I have a farm, in that farm of mine, I have 1,000 producers working with me. Can you imagine the cost to form these 1,000 associated producers? To ensure that these producers, then many times I partner with other agencies that are also involved in this process, and they ensure that training, okay, can I do training? How can I partner with a marketing company that will design my product label? It will draw the in behavior. This marketing company will do all the management of social networks and the internet. And I say, the marketing company, on every product sold, you have 11% of sales. Okay? That she's doing a marketing. And then we look at what the main courses are. Okay, human resource costs. The costs of the material, the transport, the drying process. Okay, we have here more or less an indication of what they are, which is the breaking point, which is the balance point. Any questions, my colleagues? Is this example clear, Bernardo?
It's not clear, it's clear.
Lydian. Sandra's, all right. Agnella is not with us, Esmeralda. Everything is fine. The people at the agency are all right too. Okay, perfect. So for export, okay, this can also fine. I will send you the links later. As I said, the campus model is adapted to certain realities. It is not linear. If we're going to see in the previous slide, we look at what is the field model that we talked about. Okay, this company is doing export, okay? But we can take our chances. This other methodology, they are adjusting the reality of each market, okay? They looked at what their customers are. They looked at a unique value proposition. Okay, in this unique value proposition, do you realize what the competitive advantage is? What solution do you intend to bring, okay? Do you know what the channels are? They set goals instead of establishing activities. Okay, they set goals that we want to achieve these goals. Try to figure out what the problems are that we were solving. The only part that remained was the cost structure and revenues. This is just to say that it is not static. Things change the scale of each business, but we're looking at what Cancus is, okay? All right, so we don't waste too much time. I'm going to ask everyone to do the following exercise. Buy in the product we identified yesterday, okay? We're going to fill out the Canvas template, okay? Let's now divide into groups. Let's get into the breaking rooms. Okay, we'll have about 30 minutes. Okay, you can create hypothetical aspects. You don't have to go looking, do a detailed analysis because we don't have time. But obviously, attention. If we are going to do a business, we cannot tell the company to bring hypothetical aspects, has to bring real aspects. To do real aspects, you have to do studies, okay? But for these exercises, we can use hypothetical aspects. Okay, based on this, let's elaborate what is our canvas with a product that we defined yesterday. Yesterday, we had already defined the value proposition and the customer segment, so just transfer that to these two parties. And then we're going to use the fill-ins based on what we did earlier. Okay? I'll go. Let's split into groups. I'll ask my colleague. I forgot. I apologize very much. I ended up forgetting to send AEA2 for you to fill out. But I'll take a look at it. While my colleague handles the groups, then we have 30 minutes straight at 11 and 10. Come on, let's do it. Let's get back, okay? Each group will have 3 minutes to present in a very clear and objective way, okay? It will, identify an actor to do this. Are you okay? So let's now make 11. Brief introduction, I will.
Moving on to present, our Kava's business model is hypothetical. We have defined as customer segments, flour processing companies using sesame base and also companies that extract I-based on sesame. So what is our value proposition that we are going to provide as a benefit to customers is the grade of organic sesame. Firstly, for flour processing companies, we will also provide the grade of sesame with high nutritional value and also a sesame with high degree of efficiency in terms of extraction. It means you're going to be there is an ideal humidity for the oil extraction process. Our sales channels, we will make direct sales from company to company. We will not have any intermediary. What is our strategy in terms of relationship? We will provide a personalized service, a quality product, and we will always comply with the deadlines of of delivery in terms of revenue sources is the effective sale of the sesame itself. Resources that we will need were inputs for production, machines to do a pre-processing labor, and also financial resources. In terms of key activities, we have production activity from pre-processing, the disclosure, packaging and transportation, the purchase of the product, because the company will not only will produce, but also is. We are looking at a situation of an aggregator company. In terms of key partnerships, we have partnerships with transport companies. The area of customs brokers, packaging companies, and also companies or entities linked to the esterification area, because we are talking about an organic product. And for what is our cost structure, we have foreseen the cost of production, cost of pre-processing, cost with disclosure, cost related to packaging and transport itself. In addition, we are discussing wage costs for our workforce and colleagues. I believe we have more time to address this. If anyone has additional comments, I'll provide space for my colleagues to contribute. Thank you very much.
Excellent work, colleague.
Octavio has
something.
Additionally, I believe we should consider.
Not the presentation.
It was great. And that's it. I believe that's all we have.
Good morning once again, colleagues. Okay, we will present our business model, which is the production of honey. So we will have as the main customers, which will be England and Italy, since these are one of the very demanding countries in the purchase of organic honey. All right, let's discuss our value proposition, which includes 100% pure anhydrous honey produced in a unique eucalyptus forest. This distinguishes our product as it is a rich, antioxidant-free variety of honey. Additionally, we have identified the primary distribution channels. First, the internet, we go already as a source of communication. Our business is going to be a live channel. Then we will use AA Internet for communication with our customers, and we will use AA by sea to do for how to transpose to the arrival of the product there. And then there are customer relationships. I think time was a little fast. We didn't have a lot of relationships, but the main relationship we're going to have is to provide a product of quality. That will be our guarantee. Today we can communicate with our customers to give us security. If the product is actually what they received, it's exactly what they expected. We have the sources of revenue. Our source of revenue will be 11 processed honey, exactly the honey that will be the organic honey. We have forests, we have human resources, which will be the people who will work. With us, we have financial resources, technologies. We are talking about equipment that we will use for the processing of honey, main activities to the contracts with our workers, the aggregation. We will welcome the honey that comes from small producers, from associations, from cooperatives. Then comes a process of packaging. The processing and packaging in packing has certification and export. We have major partners, which is our Ministry of Agriculture. We have the Kubaraning Camping are also honey suppliers, associations. We have Portucel, we have AAU,
is a certification company. What about the banks? If we want to work with associations, with communities, with producers, we will need money. So banks will have a great importance in our work, the cost structure. We, as we are going to work with a group of people, have to give assistance mainly to associations. We will assist them in producing an organic medium. The aggregation, processing, and certification and transportation, a lot.
Thank you. A simple comment. When you started with partnerships. Don't forget that you always have to start with the customers. Okay, obviously they need more time. Hey, can you go then how? How's the honey in yours? In your daily work, you can then go even deeper into the tool.
Are you okay?
Okay, all right. We have here our Canvas business model where we have as our customer segment, England. What are our key activities? Our key activities are production, processing, and marketing of organic peanuts. Okay, the type of here, the channels we will use for the marketing of our product will be OO Beetles C. Where will they be sold? To supermarkets and some refinery industries in England? A relationship with our customers, right? As we said, customers are the correction and revenues are the arteries. We'll go have a personalized service to our customers, and we will go to those customers who are going to buy a certain quantity for large quantities. They will benefit from low prices, meaning they will have competitive prices, right? Here we have our value proposition as good quality organic products. Rich in minerals, vitamins, types of healthy crops, no cholesterol. As main partners, we will have Oi Puro, which is our production unit. We have OITG, we have OMIC, which is the Ministry of Commerce and the Tax Authority.
Resources.
The main resources we have are the production equipments. And processing, the cost structure, we think the largest will cost in the production part and in the export of our product. And our source of revenue is organic peanuts, right? This is the model we follow.
The sale, in this case, no, not the peanut. The peanut has to be.
The blindfold, exactly. The peanut sale. Okay, exactly.
Just a small matter to follow the order. This is where I said every model would do. It's each in its own way. But when we follow the order, in a way, guide us is not. The customer follows the order because yours is also lost afterwards.
Okay.
Follow that order of conversations with customers, value proposition, channels, relationship paths, activities, partners, and then in the end, costs. Are you okay? Okay, don't forget that here is always costs. The other thing that I expected a little bit, but obviously because of the weather. Of the three presentations, when we're talking about England, okay, who is England? How much? What is the population? How many people consume organic? What are the people? What kind of market is organic for? It's for young people, and it's for adults, and it's for women. How many women have these things? Obviously, every time we don't go, we can't do it. But I hope that you, with yesterday's exercise, would have populated here, okay? Because the exercise that we did yesterday, that I gave you yesterday, you had to popularize the results here and in the value proposition, okay? Are we clear? Everybody, not just GAP, but everyone who's presented so far.
Okay. Okay, I fully understand.
Okay, here we go. We do to customers. We have for our product, which is organic sugar. It is Germany. It is not that specifically ours. Our little research time, we managed to find this company here, an entity that buys sugar from Mozambique for us. This is our value proposition. It is an organic sugar of single origin. These pure increase have a certification of international standards. Its production does not cause intoxication or soil degradation. And it's better for the environment.
Isn't it?
In relation to the canals, we have the issue of river transport. It is not participation in fairs and fairs. In this case, whether they are in person or online, for example, in times of pandemic, we received the question of digital platforms is that more meaning is greater than deeds. Regarding to the relationships with forgiveness with customers, we have the information issue of our products regularly and guarantee that our product have quality and have a certain control. In this case, they are the certificates specifically with an organic certification. Sources of revenue, we have our own organic sugar. EE, it will be through indirect sales per moment for export. We, as a company that in Mozambique will not effectively sell to Germany, there will always be intermediaries for the achievements in relation to resources. And we have the issue of land for the production of Boracana. We have financial resources and human resources, right, for our sugarcane production, but also for the question of the whole question of processing the cane itself into sugar. Regarding the key activities, we have the participation of national, international, and organic holidays. In this case, our sugar is organic. We have been monitoring the reinforcement of digital marketing and technical assistance to producers who will produce sugarcane to ensure that this production is really organic. Regarding the partnerships or main partners, we have the cooperatives that the company normally, for the collision of sugarcane or raw material, it depends a lot, and cooperatives and various cooperatives that supply the raw material to the industry. We have the certification entities that will guarantee the situation of this production, and other NGOs linked to organic production, the cost structure. We have the issue of costs for the issue of infrastructure, equipment, the cost of personnel, the cost of transport, the cost of raw materials, the cost of communication, the issue of the cost of the customs part. It's not about processing. The expression always exists, shoe, and the issue of packaging, basically. That is what our group. Can you do in this space-time, is there anything our colleagues can do?
I've got the time, thank you. Savior 111, a small observation. A lot of attention with the market we harvest. When we're going to do market research, all of us always want the best market, the biggest market. But not always the best market or the largest market is suited to our reality. I don't know if I can figure it out. Many times the bigger market has more perspective. Everyone wants to go to that market, right? There are more requirements. Okay, so we sometimes have to find the portfolio to enter that market because it is low to enter the market. The European market is vast, not only Germany, there are other countries we can look for. The Netherlands, for example, is one of the other countries also because of its strategic location. Okay, so as we are doing this analysis, we always realize that the various countries are there. Okay, and attention to customer relationship. Customer relationship is we keep that customer satisfied. Okay, colleague Egmenia Esmeralda, right? Presented by the FNDS. She talked about quality, but she said, what action are they going to take to maintain that quality? Will you please?
Which we identified taking into account that it is the largest market for organic products, and we would also take into account that Germany is, but we would also pay attention to the fact that they would be customers with fitness, health improvement, and aesthetic objectives. Then moving on to the value proposition. We went to get that information from yesterday that we had prepared. Our product is moringa powder and moringa olicera. Also, in terms of how it would be, we would bet on attractive packaging. In one with a reduced delivery time, we were going to provide personalized services. We gave, for example, the online service. For example, whoever bought the product, depending on the segment, could have an online service with a nutritionist where they could give more information about the qualities of the product. We would also invest in a constant improvement of the quality of our product. Going to another factor still within the value proposition would be a 100% natural product, 100 chemicals. A product increases immunity, reducing, for example, the risk of HIV contamination, excuse for COVID, taking into account that immunity would be high to consume the product, directing us already now to the channels. We were thinking of presenting at national fairs such as Fasina and others that have occurred here and international as well, in addition to using distribution through the channels of our partners. As for the relationship, we will be in a high quality customer relationship, high product quality, setting a fair price, and also have a customer service line going through to
the sources
of revenue would be product sales. This item we have not developed much for lack of time, but we managed to put this point later. In terms of main resources, we would be talking about equipment, infrastructure, financial resources, and human resources themselves with knowledge and skills. To work as a product in all its phases, moving on to the key activities, would be to ensure the organic production of moringa, its packaging, processing, both the moringa powder and the olive going to For the other issues, I would talk, for example, about DA partnerships, that we would form partnerships with one. With one, we would have a partner in Germany who would dedicate himself, right, in the process of selling both channels. using, for example, large supermarkets and organic stores. In addition, we will also partner with a marketing company in order to create attractive packaging that would, say, please the customer, right? Taking into account that the customer, when buying a product, for example, looks at all aspects of packaging from origin, shelf life, composition of the product, and everything else. And we were also seeing that partnerships are necessary, for example, with the tax authority throughout the export process, includes and goes through customs, as well as making use of the resources we have, for example, in the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, which has a sector that is dedicated to this part of exports. There is a part that we are adding here, but I say already that we wanted to hear also from Dr. San, which is the following. We know that Mozambique is part of several there are things, organizations like SEDEC, SAPO, we have partnerships within the scope of Lagoa, so we want to hear that it would be valid to be included here or not. This aspect is something that we think about, but we want to know whether you agree or not, taking into account that our task is to help AJSMS. So we also have to see if under that this is valid or not. Going to the part of costs, we have the costs of production, processing, and distribution. I think it covered all the areas. I don't know if I would have forgotten any, but in principle, that's what we presented. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Congratulations to everyone on the presentation. Yes, Claudia, we have to make use of these agreements that the country has to make more exports. If not, we do not necessarily have to start with Europe. We're getting started. We can port to the region. If the region will give us experience for us to reach Europe. But if we have opportunities to export directly to Europe, it's also a window of opportunity. It is also a market potential. It is a customer segment. In this case, the PROMOVE is supporting for Europe, but this does not refer all SMEs have to export to Europe. There are perhaps products that are not attractive in the European market, but they are attractive to the Asian market, to the market of the region. Okay, thank you all so much for the fantastic performances at short time. All the presentations were well done. Obviously, with more time, we could do much more, and obviously time was our enemy. You can synchronize these tools and these exercises. To improve later with more time, I'm just here doing it from mine, so just a second. We can always use the tool. My colleague will then share the presentation with you so you can improve. They can. Add value to your presentations. However, any doubt, any question, I am also available. I'm here trying to do, I think, something. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So, we've seen that before. I will also hit here in the presentation some useful links that you can use to deepen your knowledge, which is the Straight Geyser, which is in English. This business model analyst is in Portuguese, which also helps with the language issue. And we also have Export Canvas, which you can also access. Export Canvas has an associated cost, but it also has some relevant, good information. The other two are completely free. Can you access it? You can download the tool there. You can download there to do your training. 11 important aspects. Don't forget, your role is to support PMLs. However, sometimes we have to understand what SMEs are to be able to give what is the ideal recommendation. Another recommendation I leave before we close is customer attention. The customer is the key part of the business model. It is the heart of the business model. If we choose a client that is not suitable for our reality, or if we identify a client that we do not have the capacity to respond to, what will happen is that all the other elements will not work, okay? So we have to start by identifying the one that is the ideal client for us. Are you okay? Any questions? Any questions before I turn to Ursula? Are all of you completely satisfied, colleagues?
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't one.
Good to say.
That was an excellent workshop. Thank you immensely. Whenever you're conducting workshops, another piece of advice I offer is to always maintain interaction. It's crucial, really. Oh, thanks a lot, Ursula. Many thanks indeed. Communication is continuous.
Thanks a lot, Sam, for an amazing presentation. It was 2 days of fantastic engagement. I feel everyone here has gained something. Sam mentioned she would learn, but I think we learned a great deal, more than expected. How prepared are we? How to simplify documents? Using Canvas, which presents language, it's all novel, unlike before. We had to devise a very rigorous business plan, filled with details, whereas now people prefer straightforward communication. EE, you successfully delivered simple communication with much artistry. With great simplicity, the technical terms were also said, always accompanied by local examples. What about me? I found that quite interesting, but I also want to leave a word of appreciation for the participants. We know how hard it is to be, of course, a member of the family, and also being active and participating, engaging, making presentations, and in a very short time being able to take on content, sometimes a little more complex, and presenting and speaking is very good. It is gratifying, in fact, to have a presentation as it was made. I think it was made by Alfredo. That's it, coming by first thing in the morning, 11 summary. With such a remarkable photographic memory, I truly believe Owasan is out of here. Rewarding indeed. He devoted numerous hours to exhibit what appears very normal, very simple, yet there was significant effort behind it. So amazing. And you can take over and take these contents, but not only be able to dedicate your time, because some I noticed in the groups only left or were attending the customer, but even so, they still came, still presented, were still coherent pegs for you, no doubt. But above all, two ladies from OPIX, of course, we have gender here, present in EM across all institutions, plus the two ladies of OPIX tackling their challenges. EEA, today the OPIX team is incomplete. Only 2 members made it. Congratulations for holding out strongly and competently. I believe handling the challenge of working with information technologies involving computers bring a considerable amount of breaking news for everyone. Ready to participate in the polls is it's all dynamic, interesting, but it certainly puts us a little bit closer to how the world is working today, and having public institutions like you can do. This means that the beneficiaries, as San mentioned, are the people we always have to keep an eye on. You will benefit greatly from all your know-how. I was impressed by the quality of the technicians who were there. Thank you very much. But I would like to do something new because our son has done new things. He would give me 9 coffee. I don't know from here with some learning, but I don't know. Let's do one thing I'd like us to do, and then, of course, ask. I have my colleague, Virgilio, who also wants to take a second family photo. But I would like everyone to turn on the microphone and everyone to give Asan a round of applause for the fantastic work he has done. Yeah.
Oh.
Kate.
Hi, Anna. We did it. Not yet. Let's go. 123. Here we go. Can you hear yourself? Yes, sir. So Hassan, thank you very much. Back to you to maybe say goodbye to the participants and invite you next time. Good. Oh, but before that, we can take a family photo. Then you can all turn on the camera. I'm not going to call anyone who doesn't think it's okay, but that's it.
I'm using this top and I don't have a webcam.
But
I'll try to get on the phone, right? I don't know if...
So virtual red sets. We all are.
It's absolutely fine.
I really need to let him in, right?
Me?
I was seeing this, he was there. Very curious, huh?
Some guys I know.
Very good.
Thank you all so much, EE. Like I said, great work by all. I think everyone deserves a round of applause. Even we can all make a born for all of us would be nice.
Yeah, I'm on it.
All right, please hold on a moment. I still don't see Alberto and Son. Since you're co-hosts, kindly assist me if I decide to leave. Now the voluntary resignation has arrived for Bride Alberto.
PHAE.
Indeed, that's correct. It's already perfect, right? Virgil is listening to you attentively.
So, okay.
That's perfect. Thank you all so much. Continuation of a good day's work. I see everyone liked it so much that we could stay for a few more hours. She isn't a Sora who probably hasn't gotten any sleep. You'll likely disagree. Thank you, everyone.